Folks, as we leave our 1870 depot, if you folks will, look off the east side of the train and a little bit toward the rear of the train, across the small canyon next to us, and atop that huge pile of tailings, you'll see the remains of the combination shaft. Now, the combination shaft, at one time, was the most expensive and deepest mine in the world. Still to this day, that shaft, which is directly in front of that great big wooden head frame, goes straight down 3,265 feet into the earth. That's about 2/3 of a mile. The combination shaft was a joint mining effort between 4 mining companies on the Comstock. In their wisdom, they thought a main vein of ore existed directly under that spot. If they sunk that mine shaft, they'd all become very rich. But there was a couple problems. The first problem was once that shaft reached the 1,600 foot level, the shaft and all the tunnels connected to it flooded with highly mineralized hot groundwater, coming into those tunnels at 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that scalded many of the miners. They installed 4 massive Cornish pumps and removed up to 5 million gallons of water each day just to keep mining. But folks, that wasn't the worst problem. The worst problem? There was no main vein of ore. That shaft only brought up some very low-grade ore. It was eventually declared a $7 million financial disaster. One of the very few mines on the Comstock Road that never made 1 penny of profit. Now, folks, we're about to pass underneath a 160-year-old ore trestle. Now, this is how ore was brought from mines on the west side of the rails over to that crusher mill on the east side. Now, as we go underneath this trestle, I'd like you folks to take a look at those large rocks laying on the ground underneath it. Those large rocks laying there are actual gold and silver ore that has laid on the ground a century and a half. Now, the reason these rocks are on the ground is when they brought the ore across this trestle, if a rock was too big to go through that crusher machinery, well, they just pushed that rock right off the top of the trestle. So if any of you folks are feeling a little bit lucky today, come on back later with a great big hammer. You can go to work on one of these rocks and you might just strike your fortune. It's a bit luckier than one of those slot machines. Now, when mining began on the Comstock Road around 1860, the only way to get the ore down to the mills on the Carson River was by wagon and mule. It was very expensive, and it took up to a week for a wagon load of ore to make it down the mountains. In 1869, a man named William Sharon on the board of directors of the Bank of California thought it would be profitable for that bank to build a railroad between Carson City and Virginia City. Construction began in February 1869 with 1,500 workers employed to build the line. Coming the 21 miles from Carson City to Virginia City, 7 tunnels were dug through the Washoe Mountains, and the railroad comes up nearly